So hello and welcome to the Lewis Nichols Show, and I'm really excited to bring on my next guest, one of the funniest actors around. They've done so many projects, and if you're like me, addicted to the incredible Two Doors Down at the moment, you'll know exactly who this gentleman is. Let's say hello to Jonathan Watson. How are you?
Hi Lewis, how you doing? Thanks for having me in the show.
No, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, we had Dune on the show yesterday, and I've got to say, here in the UK at the moment, Christmas TV wasn't the best. Obviously, with the lockdown, that people didn't get to make the normal specials. But my goodness, Two Doors Down absolutely nailed it. It was the best show over Christmas. You must be really chuffed with the episode.
Yeah, it was good to do it, and obviously we were delighted with the response. It's been so positive, and people have been so appreciative. We were really grateful to be able to shoot something before Christmas because well, Dune probably told you that we were meant to shoot series 5 last March, and it kept on getting put back and put back and put back. So we were delighted when they came up with an idea to try and squeeze in a Christmas special, and that seemed to work, so all good.
I mean, we're going to talk a lot more about Two Doors Down, but I wanted to go back really for you to the very beginning, which is kind of where your love for acting and comedy actually came about. Was it something that you were always interested in?
Well, the comedy thing kind of kicked in probably about 2-3 years after I left drama college, and I was given the opportunity to join what was then called the comedy unit at BBC Scotland, which was headed by a man called Colin Gilbert. And Colin was responsible for, just before I arrived, programs like Kick Up the 80s and working with Rick Mail and the Kevin Turvey stuff. And so it was a really good setup to join. And my first outing with them was Naked Radio, which then transferred to TV to become Naked Video, and that's how it all kind of started, that side of things.
And was that your big break then for you, the Naked Radio and Naked Video?
It's from a television point of view, I think, yeah, you would have to say that, because it so many other things followed on from that. And no, I look back with great fondness to these times, and lots of good memories. So yeah.
I mean, many of us will obviously know you for, I mean, this show has been on for the same amount of time that I was alive. It was on TV when I was born. Of course, Only an Excuse. Incredible show. I mean, how do you, when it comes to doing impressions, how do you do that? Do you have to study someone and then just keep kind of practicing? Like, how does that all work for you?
Well, with Only an Excuse, when the program actually grew out, it was a spoof documentary on an actual program that was made up in Scotland, looking back in the history of Scottish football. And it was written and narrated by William McIlvanney, a very celebrated writer who had a very distinctive voice. And when we did the spoof, I did his voice, but in the early days, mimicry wasn't really a part of the program. It was more a sort of takeoff of the actual program. And as the years progressed, mimicry came into it, and I think it was because it was football and because it was characters that we knew and really admired. We kind of had these things spinning about our heads anyway, so there wasn't too much studying put in, I would have to say. So,
I mean, the great thing about the show is it's one of those shows that you don't necessarily kind of remember the characteristics until you do them. And then when you actually see the person that you are mimicking, you're, oh my God, he does do that. Yeah, I'd never noticed that before. So you introduced us into things that as viewers, we didn't necessarily remember. And I think that was the incredible thing about the show.
Well, that's kind of you to say that. We actually, we've, as you probably, you know that it's been running for so many years. At New Year's Eve there, that was the very last television version of Only an Excuse. We decided to bring it to a close, but to sign off, it was an hour-long special, and on the programme we had people like Graham Souness, Walter Smith, and Kenny Dalglish giving their take on it, and how they began to realise, God, I do say that. I do, but it meant an awful lot coming from them. So it was good to hear that. Yeah.
Was it a difficult decision for you to bring the show to a close? Because I know it's something that you obviously love and you seem to really enjoy. So that must have been tough after so many years to kind of say goodbye to this.
Well, it was and it wasn't. The program, the idea of the program came about from a man called Philip Differ, who I've worked with for many years, going right back to Naked Radio and Naked Video. And Philip and I, apart from being work colleagues, were good friends, and we used to always have a sort of post-mortem around about the 2nd, 3rd of January to look back in the program and how it was received. And last year, for the first time ever, we thought, maybe we should think about bringing it to a close, because it's been going on for, I think it was about 27 years or something like that. So it's got to end someday. And the fact that we both thought we should maybe bring it to a close, I think that was enough to convince us that it was the right time. And we were very fortunate that the BBC came back to us and said, well, look, we're going to sign off. Let's do it in style. And that's how the 1 hour special came about. So, but we still work together. And what we have done, we've been given the opportunity to do a podcast, an Only an Excuse podcast, which is actually up and running now on BBC Sounds. And it allows us to make it solely about football, which is how it started out, and also going back to its roots on radio. So it's not completely dead. We still get a chance once a week to dip back into it,
I've got to say, I've never laughed so much when you did your Jurgen Klopp impression. That is absolutely incredible. Like you nailed everything about that. Have other people mentioned that to you?
Yeah, we've had a good feedback about that, which he was a bit of a gift, because the one thing that I would say in more recent times, that there seems to be fewer characters in the actual game itself. So having somebody as colourful as him and who's so demonstrative, it was great. So it gave me something to hang a hook on, So yeah.
And there were so many classic moments, of course. One that stands out in the petrol station when the guy behind the counter says "pump 2" and you turn around and say "not yet, but I'm working on it." There's so many moments that just it doesn't age. For any audience of any age, you just watch it and you enjoy it, and it's so funny.
That's one of the strongest guys. Well, of course, that is, it's not so much an impersonation, it's more a caricature of a footballer you'll know of called Frank McAvenny, and he used to play for West Ham and Celtic, but he's still at Upton Park. He's still held in such high regard. But Frank was interviewed on it, and he pointed that sketch out and said that was his favourite. And I don't know if it's too much off what would actually happen in real life if he was involved. So I'm glad he enjoyed it.
When you think back to your career, I mean, you've done so many incredible projects. What stands out to you as one of the projects that you look back with the fondest memories?
Well, that's a kind of tricky question. There's so many things. I've been very fortunate in my career to be involved in, so many interesting things. One that I have got a real soft spot for. It's one that I did a number of years ago, which was written by Neil Forsyth called Bob Servant,
Brian
and
Cox.
it featured myself. I played Brian Cox's sidekick, and it was set up in Dundee, and it was based on books that Neil had written. It transferred to radio, and when the TV adaptation came around, I got a chance to read for the part of Frank, and we did 3 short series of that program with some wonderful actors in it, and it was just the whole atmosphere and the set and the whole feel of it was great. So I look back with fond memories to that project. Yeah.
And I mean, that show was hugely successful, especially in regards to the ratings. So why did it finish when it did? Because it seemed like it had legs to carry on in regards to another series.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that the main problem that we had when it started out on I think it was BBC Three. It started out on. That's where the commission came from. The people who were behind it and who gave it all the backing had moved on to other projects. So when it came round to recommission it, a lot of the people who had been so supportive were elsewhere, and other people had come in with their own projects, which is understandable. That happens, and as a result, we weren't commissioned anymore, and it came to a close. But it was great fun to do. But as you say, it was so well received on the network, and the figures were great. So, but it was great to do. Yeah.
I mean, moving on now to a show that just keeps growing and growing and growing, especially in lockdown with it being on iPlayer, of course, is Two Doors Down. And I said to Dune yesterday, it's no exaggeration, I've watched every episode at least 10 times. It's the funniest show I have seen since Only Fools and Horses. It really is. So when they initially got in contact with you about the show and you read the scripts, what were your initial thoughts on the characters of Kathy and Colin?
Well, it wasn't. It didn't kind of work out that way. What happened was, I don't know if Dune explained this. It started life as a one-off. It was a 1-hour program, and all of a sudden the BBC had a slot to fill on BBC One at 9 o'clock in New Year's Eve. I think it was about 8 years ago when we did it, 7 or 8 years ago, and my agent got a call asking if I would go down to London to read for this part, for this one-off. And so I hadn't read the script or anything. I just got a chance to look at a couple of scenes. I met Simon Carlyle, who along with Gregor Sharp writes it. Met him, the director at the time and the producer at the time, and it was very funny to read. I had a good feel about it when I met them, and about a couple of hours later, the offer came in to do it, and it all happened very, very quickly. So about 10 days later, we were filming it, and so you really didn't have much of a chance to sort of catch your breath with it. And I hadn't met Dune before. I met her in a rehearsal room near Highborough Corner in Islington, and we got on very well right away. She was, very approachable and great fun, and that was it. We were thrown right into it. It was only afterwards, when the program went out, and the feedback, especially in social media, was phenomenal, and it was down due to that it gave them food for thought to think, we should maybe think about doing a series here. And so, but when we were filming it, you began to get a feel for the characters, and it was great to do. It really was.
And the brilliant thing is, obviously, you had that one-off special before Series 1 came out, and then you add the incredible Elaine C. Smith as Christine to the show, and you just think to yourself, can this not get any better? And I was saying to Dune yesterday, what I love about the show is you'll have something like, it's so basic. You'll have a scene, in Beth and Eric's living room, but if Christine's got a scene, you know, yourself and Kathy, you'll do little facial expressions or you'll do a little movement which adds to it. It's your reactions to what's going on as well that just makes it so funny. I mean, would you say that's one of the reasons for the success of the show?
Yes, I think that's a good point. I think the way we shoot it allows all these things to happen. It's they cross shoot it, and we could end up doing a 7-8 page scene 40, 50 times. So you get all the different setups in the lounge. Say you've got you've got Alex sitting in the armchair, people in one couch, people in the other. So they'll fire in for 2 shots or 3 shots, close-ups, mid-shot. So there's such a range of things. You can't switch off at all just because the camera's not on. You never know when you're going to get picked up. So I think because of that, they've got these little nuggets where they can, edit in the little reactions, I think, which gives it its own style, if you like.
One thing that I just love is Colin's ability to unintentionally savage Beth and Eric. I mean, they're in their living room, and when he's talking to Michelle and Alan, my house is a real step up to this, and he's mocking Beth and Eric's house in front of them, and everyone knows a character like Colin or Kathy. We all know them. The people that kind of like to brag about what they've got. But Colin's also very lovable as well. He's very sensitive, he's very kind, and then you've got Kathy, which is just a completely different ball game. I mean, you must have fun playing these characters.
Yeah, we do, and I think you touched on it there. Everybody knows people like that, and this goes for every member of the cast. This is one of the things I think that both Simon and Gregor have captured so well. Everybody can relate to every single one of these characters, whether you live in London, Hull, Cardiff, Aberdeen, wherever. Everybody knows somebody like that, and I think that is a big part of the popularity of the programme.
And I was saying to Doon yesterday that one scene that I've never, and I genuinely mean this, I've not laughed like it on any comedy show before, was when Colin and Kathy were reenacting their wedding dance. And it's the funniest thing
Yes.
I have ever seen. And I didn't realise till yesterday that Doon said you had to record that without the music.
Yeah, that's right, we did. Actually, that is the one episode that I haven't seen out of all the series, because I usually watch it when it comes out with my family, but I was away working and I didn't see that episode, and my wife said it's not the best way to view me when you see me writhing in the floor. So that's the one I haven't seen, so I must try and catch up on that. And your recommendation. So
it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, are there any similarities between yourself as Jonathan and the character Colin? Are there any similarities at all?
I very much hope not. No, I don't. I don't think there is. I hope not. But no. It's a character that I really enjoy playing. I love doing it, and it's great because it's a number of years now we've all been part of it, and we all got on very, very well. Everybody's so good to work with, and particularly when we did the Christmas special, and we were all sort of living in a bubble in a hotel and ferried out to film every day. We became even closer. I mean, I've known 2 of the cast for a long time, Alex Norton and Elaine. Elaine and I were at drama college together, so I've known Elaine for over 40 years, so and worked with her in a number of things with the comedy unit as well. So it's a real privilege to work with people like that. It really is.
I know that we can expect series 5, obviously where we are in the world at the moment, with the times that we're in. But I know that yesterday Doon said that it is on the cards, and hopefully we're going to get it this year.
Well, yes, she's right. It is in the cards. The start date has been put back. Again, we were due to start in March, but because of the current restrictions, I don't think it would really be feasible at the moment. So we're penciled in to do it early summer. So in which case it would go autumn this year, which is probably when they would put it out anyway. So we very much hope that that'll be the case.
So yesterday, we gave a little quiz to Doon about her own character as Kathy, and
Right?
we gave her 10 questions, and she got 10 out of 10 correct.
Oh
And
God,
they were really
no pressure.
difficult. They were really difficult questions, but we've got some for you, and it's all about Colin, Kathy, and the show. So we'll see how well you do.
Right,
So
go.
question number one: what was the name of Colin's dad?
Oh, it's played by Maurice Reeves, and I can't remember.
You can't remember?
No.
It's Willie.
Willie, there you go. I
Um,
told you, as soon as I finish an episode, it goes out. On
Put
you
it
go.
back. What did Colin do that ended up in breaking Beth's birthday cake? It's one of the best scenes from the show for me.
He,
So
he fell off a chair.
that's correct. Correct.
Is
He
that
did. He
right?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Now this is a really difficult one. What was the name of Colin's ex-wife? So in an episode, he kept referencing her, and it really upset Kathy. What was her name?
I can't remember. It was one of
Yvonne.
the most enjoyable ones to do as well. What was
That
it?
was Yvonne.
Yvonne.
Yvonne. Colin was seen pictured in what type of club? And it really upset Kathy.
It was a lap dancing bar? Was it a
It
strip
was.
club?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Um, what were Colin and Eric doing in the garage that results in them both having an argument?
They were trying to get was it a swing ball, a tennis swing ball thing? No.
No, it was actually you were playing darts and you kept trying to put him off, and he called you a wee fanny.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
When Colin and Kathy were broken into, what did Colin discover that resulted in Kathy wanting all of her clothes put in the bin?
Yes, her knicker drawer had been tampered with. I think that's the politest way to say it.
Absolutely brilliant. What did Colin buy for Kathy for Christmas after their holiday to France was cancelled?
Was it a ski anorak?
No, it was a star, and he called it Kathy.
Ah, yes, that's right. I remember now.
What did Colin steal on the episode where the car alarm was going off?
What did he steal?
So so the car alarm was going off, and he came back with something, and it was something that you could eat.
Don't know.
It was rolls, a bag of rolls, Baps, and Beth had to make the bacon. You'll know this one. What were Eric and Colin playing in the episode? The funniest episode where Eric ended up getting a bat to the face.
We were playing swing ball.
Do you know that's such a funny episode, wasn't it? Just everything about it, the way he got hit, it was just incredible.
As soon as it's like somebody walking into a lamppost. As soon as you hear the smack, it makes you laugh.
It's the fact that you ducked as well, which resulted. And the last question: what did Gordon do in the recent Christmas special that really upset Kathy?
Gordon did an impersonation of her.
It was an incredible one as well. But you must have, for someone that does impersonations yourself, you must have been really impressed with how he did that.
I thought it was very cruel. And I didn't find it funny at all. So there you go. She's my wife, and I'm sticking up for her. There you go.
Obviously, we spoke a lot about this incredible show, and it really is. And by the way, the way that you play this character, it's so engaging. You connect with the audience. You really do. You're relatable. And like I said, it's the little looks that you do. It just makes it so entertaining. So thank you so much for talking about Two Doors Down with me. But I would like to know, are you working on anything else that you can tell us about?
Well, I did a job right after Two Doors Down, which will be out later this year, which I can't really talk about because I'm not allowed to. So that's coming. That's going to be coming out later. And the main thing for this year is Series 5 of Two Doors Down. So we've got to leave that free and hopefully get a chance to get back into the studio with that. So these are sort of two of the main things. In the meantime, I'm working on a podcast that I do for BBC Sounds, and we're doing because of there was a great response to the New Year's Eve edition of Only an Excuse. There's about 20 odd years of material, so we're putting together 4 compilation programs, which I'll be hopefully up and ready quite soon. So that's keeping me off the streets just now. So yeah.
When you look back to that special that was aired New Year's Eve, and you had so many people that you've impersonated over the years coming back to talk about how they felt about you, doing an impression of them, and they spoke so highly of your work. For someone that's so passionate like you, in regards to what you do, acting, writing, and performing, to have all of those people come back and celebrate your work, that must have been something that was nice to see.
It was very special, and it meant a great deal to me. It really did, and it meant, to be honest, it meant a great deal to everybody involved in the program, because it's more or less the same. Writers, cast and crew over the years, particularly the crew. The crew have stayed with us for about 20 odd years. Same people, so it meant a lot to all of us. So it was great. Yeah.
I mean, it's the first time I think I've seen Graham Souness smile, so that was an achievement. He loved it. He had really fond memories.
Well, he was. I was fortunate enough to have dinner with him. I think it was around about 1992 or something like that, 92, 93, and we were just to give you an idea of. He is game for a laugh. I mean, halfway through the meal, his wife said to me, "Do them now," and I said, "No, it's okay. I'll just leave it, thanks." And but after about half an hour or so, I eventually piped up and I said, "I tell you, this is a better Chinese restaurant than I first thought." And right away, without missing a beat, he said, "You're right, John." He said, "It's a better Chinese restaurant than I first thought as well." So
that's incredible.
He was game for a laugh. So yeah.
Did you ever have anybody that wasn't? They kind of didn't like the fact that they were being impersonated. Did you ever have anyone complain about it, or did everyone just celebrate it for what it was?
Well, maybe people did, but I was certainly unaware of any of that. And I think we got away with it because initially it was all football. And as you know, a dressing room, the humour in a football dressing room can be particularly cruel. And I think ours didn't even scratch the surface as far as that's concerned. Yeah. So I think that was one of the reasons that people were, willing to cut us a bit of slack, if you like. So that's why we got away with so much.
And just a final thing that I did want to ask you and get your opinion on is with the recent Two Doors Down special, a lot of people on social media were asking for the episodes to be an hour long. Now, traditionally, when you look back to comedy shows that are half an hour, then they extend it to an hour, I feel personally it adds a bit of strain because half an hour just feels right for the content. And when you make it an hour, you're almost straining the program and the concept. What are your thoughts in the episodes potentially, being an hour long?
Oh, I think it's a really bad idea, and you're absolutely right in what you say. I remember a number of years ago, we did a a 45-minute version of Only an Excuse, and it's some good stuff in it, good material, but it was 15 minutes too long. These things work best when they're half an hour. That's the, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And you're right, it puts a huge strain. The program that that we did all these years ago that started Two Doors Down, that was an hour long, but it was a completely different structure and had a very different feel to it. It's very nice when people say, "Oh, if only it was longer." I promise you, it wouldn't be as strong a program if it was extended. Half an hour works best, and that's what we should keep it at. And I've got no doubt that will always happen. Yeah.
Well, I'm so happy for all of you that work so hard on the show that it's doing as well as it is, because you know yourself on iPlayer, it's just going to a different level, and all you need to do is type in Two Doors Down on Twitter and Facebook, and you see the amount of posts of people that have just discovered the show for the first time, and that they've fallen in love with the characters and the show for the first time. So it's great that it's growing, you know, during this lockdown.
No, very much so. It certainly with social media, it's been given a huge boost, and the figures came through from iPlayer, and the number of the millions of people that have tuned in. Which, you know, hopefully this will help us when the Series 5 comes out and gives the ratings a real boost, and you know, it gives it a bit more life. You know.
Well, Jonathan, honestly, I want to say a massive thank you. I genuinely am a fan of your work, and I just think you're an incredible actor that has an ability to connect with the audience, and you're just naturally funny as well. I mean, when you watch all of your shows, you just got the ability to make people laugh, which is a skill, you know, not a lot of people have got. So thank you so much for taking the time today.
Well, thank you very much for your kind words. I really appreciate that, and thanks for having me in the show.
Thank you.